Hi, welcome to Grey Horse Yoga. So this week we're going to focus a little bit on some upper body strength, but without using our wrists. Some people struggle with upper body strength because a lot of the poses in yoga have us on all fours with a little bit more pressure in the wrist. So we're going to do a little sequence today, gives you the opportunity to work a little bit of the upper body without using your wrists. So we're going to come just for a moment onto our wrists in table pose. So this will be our foundation, and then we're going to bring our elbows down to the mat. So you're going to land your elbows right underneath where the shoulders were. Forearms parallel, knees are right underneath the hips. And then as we inhale, we're going to drop the belly down, lift the heart and the sternum, take the gaze a little forward. And then as we exhale, we're going to round the spine, draw the belly in, taking the gaze towards the belly button. So this is basically our cat-cow pose, but from the elbows instead of having the weight in the wrists. So keep that going with your breath. It helps to release tension up and down the length of the spine, focusing a little bit more on the thoracic spine where the ribs attach and the shoulders and the neck. So again, with your breath, inhaling, nice length and extension, and then exhale into flexion. Do that one more time, inhaling and exhale. And then coming back to a neutral position, we're going to go right into a little strengthening. So from this position, clasp the hands, so the elbows are going to stay directly where they landed, and you're going to extend one leg back and the other leg back, coming to an elbow plank pose. So modification here, if you need a little support for your lower back, just bring your knees down to the mat, but keep those core muscles engaged. So this is going to do two things. It's going to focus our core strength, but it's also going to focus on building a little strength in the upper body and the shoulders. Make sure you're breathing. Think of lengthening through the crown of the head. So we're not letting the head drop down. We're not cranking and looking forward, cranking and putting tension in the neck. So think of aiming the top of the head, the crown of the head, towards the end of your mat. Take another breath. Inhale and exhale. And now release the knees to the floor. Unclasp the hands and let yourself fold back into a child pose. So we'll take a little counter pose here. Fold the hips towards the heels, let the forehead come down towards the mat. If the forehead doesn't come all the way down, you can make fists with your hands, stack your hands up on top of each other, letting the head rest on the hands. You can also use a yoga block here, or even a stack of books or a cushion. But take a few breaths breathing into the back of the body. And then very gently, we're going to lift the head. If you had your hands stacked up, go ahead and extend the arms all the way out in front. And we're going to come all the way onto our belly. So as you extend the arms all the way in front and the legs all the way behind you, come all the way down, arms overhead, palms to the floor, forehead to the floor. So feet are about hip distance apart. Press into the tops of the feet so you feel energy in the legs. You might feel the kneecaps lift a little bit. And then lift the head slightly, and we're going to walk our elbows back underneath us, just as we did from all fours, when we had the elbows under the shoulders. A good way to check for alignment, if you reach for opposite elbows, you should just be able to snug those top two knuckles of the hands to the outside edges of the elbows. So making sure they're directly underneath the shoulders. So think of drawing the shoulders back, again, lengthening up through the crown of the head, press into the tops of the feet. So this is a front extension and a nice work for the back of the body. So think of drawing the shoulder blades towards the spine, helping strengthen upper back. Make sure you're breathing, inhaling and exhaling. So we're going to combine a little bit of what we've done so far. So from this pose, begin to gently take your gaze down towards the mat. And as you take your gaze down, you'll feel your lower belly automatically begin to lift a little higher. And then curl your toes under, lift the hips up to that elbow plank pose. You can keep your forearms parallel, or you can interlace the fingers once again if you'd like. And then as you exhale, bring the knees back down, uncurl the toes, bring the hips down, lift the heart and the sternum, draw the shoulder blades together, press into the feet, Come back to that Sphinx pose. Let's do that a couple times. So exhale, take your gaze down, feel the lower belly lift, curl the toes under, lift the hips up. As you inhale, release the knees down, uncurl the toes, bring the hips down, widen across the collarbone, shoulder blades together, press into the feet, lengthen through the crown of the head. Once again, exhale, take the gaze down, curl the toes under, lift the hips up. And inhale, release the knees down, uncurl the toes, bring the hips down, widen the collarbones, lengthen through the crown of the head. Let's do that one more time. Exhale, take the gaze down, curl the toes under, lift the hips up. And inhale, release the knees down, uncurl the toes. Hips down, draw the shoulder blades together, lengthen through the crown of the head as you press into the feet. Couple breaths here, inhale and exhale. And then if you have clasped the hands, go ahead and release the clasp, press into the hands, and we're gonna once again come up to our table pose. Maybe walk the knees in a little bit, and we're gonna come back into that child pose again, letting the back of the body release. Take a few breaths here. And again, you can stack the hands up, or if your forehead comes comfortably down to the mat, maybe a little roll of the head side to side. Inhaling and exhaling. And then bringing the hands again back in front. Press back up to that table pose. Again, just for setting up for our next little sequence here. So elbows again down to the mat. So again, that little check in, when you bring the elbows down to the mat, if you reach for opposite elbows, you should just be able to snug those top two knuckles to the outside edges. If your elbows are too far apart, you're not going to get the support of the bone structure here. You're going to be hanging in your joints. Same thing if they're too close together. You're going to be all crunched up in the shoulders. So think of bringing, and everybody's different. You know, everybody's shoulder, everybody has a different width of shoulder. So find what feels appropriate for you. So do that little check, and then bring the hands back out, forearms parallel, knees under the hips. So here again, same option. You can keep the forearms parallel, palms to the floor, or interlace the fingers. But we're going to curl the toes under, lift the knees, send the sit bones up and back, coming into a variation of downward facing dog called dolphin pose. This is a great pose to do if you have pressure and too much pressure in your wrists, and downward facing dog builds a little upper body and shoulder strength. You can keep the knees bent, or you can straighten the legs, your option. Take a few breaths. Inhaling and exhaling. And then release the knees to the floor. Releasing the hands, if you had them clasped, fold back again to your child pose. Take a couple breaths. Inhaling and exhaling. So we're going to do that little sequence one more time. So let's set up. Let's first of all come to that table pose so we can find the proper position for the elbows, elbows under shoulders. Again, forearms parallel or hands interlaced, fingers interlaced. Make sure the knees are under the hips. Curl the toes under, lift the knees a couple inches off the mat. Really draw that lower belly in and up. Send your sit bones up and back. Coming to our dolphin pose. Again, knees can be bent. If you have a lot of tension in your hamstrings, it's better to do it with the knees a little bit bent rather than rounding the back if you straighten the legs. Or if the legs feel good, you can straighten the legs. You can even pedal through the feet a little bit here like we do in downward facing dog, your option. But a couple breaths. Inhaling and exhaling. And then release the knees to the floor. Again, releasing the hands. If you had the fingers interlaced, fold back to your child pose. Take a couple breaths. Again, a counter pose here. Release for the shoulders. And then very gently slide the hands back towards you and just slowly roll up onto your knees. So that is a sequence I wanted to introduce you to. It's important for riders to have that upper body strength so we can keep that proper alignment when we are riding. You know, have the hands on the reins. We don't want to let ourselves collapse forward, which is kind of our tendency because of what we do throughout our day. So that lets us build a little strength in the upper body without a lot of pressure in the wrist. So I hope that works for you. And please do subscribe to my channel. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video. And check out my website, www.greyhorseyoga.com, Grey with an E, Grey. So have a great day, and I hope to see you sometime soon in the saddle or on the mat. Thanks. Bye-bye.